Good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com here. Time for our hurricane outlook and discussion. It's Thursday, the 27th of October, 2022, and the big question now, will anything develop? You know, the models have been, especially the GFS, kind of hinting that something would try to develop over the next few days. Now, I am not so sure. That's why you can't just put can't put all your chips in on any one model and say, yes, something's absolutely going to happen. These deterministic models, even the ensembles, you know, that's not the same as reality, and I think we're looking at that situation now unfolding a little bit here. But there are still impacts, even though we don't have development into one of these closed systems. You know, we don't have a named storm or depression yet, as I'm going to show you. We are getting some impacts just from the fledgling, the disturbance that is trying to become one of these systems that the models, especially the GFS, I keep picking on the GFS, but it's been the one that's been the most aggressive. So let's get on with it. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Good to have you with me this afternoon. Oh, by the way, also we're going to take a look back at what was happening exactly a month ago today. Of course, we all remember. We'll get to that at the end. All right, first of all, National Hurricane Center homepage here. This is our first area, 40% chance of development over the next couple of days. Expanding out to the next 5 days, we have the other system here in the Caribbean. That is 0 in the next 48 hours, 0% chance. 50-50 over the next 5 days. Area of low pressure expected to form, as the National Hurricane Center says here. This one, though, is part of a trough of low pressure. It's an elongated area of low pressure. And I'm going to show you that's impacting Puerto Rico. Parts of it impacted the Virgin Islands yesterday, giving our good friend Brent over here in the VI some problems with some of his work that he's trying to do. Today, that rain and that energy stretched across Puerto Rico. They've had some flash flooding down there from that. And so, you know, yes, even a fledgling system. I mean, look at this. The moisture feeds all the way from just east of the Windward Islands all the way up into Atlantic Canada. That's a pretty good fetch of deep tropical moisture. I think we can all agree to that. So even without a named storm out here, nothing particularly organized, if this area of energy passes over a landmass, yeah, it's going to rain on it, and you're going to have some problems there, as they've had in Puerto Rico. So what's happening is this is trying to close off a little bit up here, become better organized, as it were. Water temperatures, as I pointed out yesterday, are warm enough throughout all of this region through here. Anything pretty much south of this line, everything in here, water temperatures are plenty warm for tropical development, but this is going to be more subtropical. Again, it's going to be loosely defined compared to a tightly wound up tropical system. The energy spread out over a larger area. I mean, you can't get much more spread out right now than that, but that's not exactly what we're talking about. If it does form into a low pressure area, again, that energy will be spread out instead of concentrated. And we can see that very nicely on the vorticity signature, about as good as it gets. This is part of the feature that we have to watch that might try to develop and move off into this direction over time. And that's where the big question mark is, really. What's going to happen with that? I think this is more definitive. Yes, we're going to get low pressure developing in here, but how concentrated is it? How much of a warm core solid structure does it have? Again, these are just all scientific classifications that we look at in terms of structure. The impacts are pretty much the same. It's just a matter of what we label them. So the first system, I think, is almost a shoe-in to at least develop into a low-pressure area. The next one, in terms of what happens with it, I'm not so sure, as I talked about at the top of today's update. But the vorticity, really interesting, though. You can really see everything stretched out here, again, all the way up into Canada. And we'll just have to see what becomes of these systems over the next few days. We'll look at this further in the modeling coming up. First of all, yes, down in Puerto Rico, this is a live look. Where are we? We're down in the San Juan area. We have these permanent cameras down here, and this is the one down in San Juan. And one of our supporters and good friend of the project, his name's Carlos. This is it. It's raining kind of steady there. Nothing that you can't handle in the San Juan area, but there were some flash flood warnings going on. They might still be up. Let's go look at radar scope real quick. Yeah, there are still some flash flood warnings for many of the areas of Puerto Rico here, especially the eastern, we'll call it 5/8. There's a fraction for you. I'm just making that up. But the eastern majority of the island of Puerto Rico, yes, is, and hey, maybe it is about 5/8, I don't know, but I was never real good at math. But clearly, a lot of the area of Puerto Rico under a flash flood warning, and there's more heavy rain out there, some embedded thunderstorms in here as well, pockets of even heavier rain. San Juan is right there. If we zoom in, that's the San Juan cam. Our partner Mike Cornelius putting together some of these points of interest for us on our version of RadarScope here. That's where the San Juan cam is located. We'll go quickly back to the interactive map where it can just pop up there, and that's what it looks like. So some steady rain down there, and some flooding issues, certainly, as I pointed out, from that area of energy stretching across Puerto Rico. So what's going to happen out in the future? Well, the GFS, which, let me just go back 24 hours, shall we? So yes, that'd be 12Z yesterday. 12Z yesterday, the GFS, just to show you, was really trying to develop this first system up here, and I was pretty sort of gung-ho on it, right? You know, kind of thinking, well, yep, that looks pretty solid, and then it tries to take root on this next system. Again, this is yesterday, and watch what happens as we move these out into time. Yeah, it was pretty, like, yesterday was thinking, wow, this could really happen. We could get development, and today, not so much. Let me show you what happens. Let's get rid of the telestration real quick, and let's move forward in time here to the 12Z today. At around that same time frame, there's not much there overall. Yes, a little bit of something in the Caribbean, and certainly a large area of low pressure up here to the southwest of Bermuda, but nothing like we were seeing yesterday for sure. That's 72 hours out. We can back it up a little bit. And by the way, you can really see that energy well defined there as the vorticity signature in the modeling here. This is valid pretty much right now as I'm putting this video together, and that matches up very nicely with reality. This is the model forecast 6 hours after initialization, which was 12Z or 8 a.m. this morning, and this is the reality. This is a true satellite product here, and they match up very nicely. So again, what about going forward in time? Well, we do get some low pressure area to some form of a low pressure to develop up there between Bermuda and Hatteras, and then the system in the Caribbean tries to organize. Maybe by 100 hours or so, it develops south of Hispaniola a little bit. If so, it could certainly bring a lot of heavy rain to that area, but then it just kind of washes out, really, you know, compared to what it was showing this particular model yesterday. Quite a difference there. We're already out at a week, and that's pretty much too far anyway. What about the euro? Well, we can look at that in 24-hour increments. Again, the initialization of it with all that energy stretched out across a good part of the western Atlantic, that's very accurate. But what about the next few days? Well, this is tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, and then Sunday morning, so 72 hours out. Broad low pressure here, nearer, closer to Bermuda. Sort of a large system down here tries to develop. Could be a tropical depression maybe by this point in time. It's not particularly strong in the modeling here, the lower 5,000 feet of the atmosphere. It moves along, gets close enough to where it could bring some heavy rain, which is an impact. That could be a very devastating impact if there's too much of it. We know that. We should. And then, similar to the GFS, it just kind of washes out by days 6 and 7, and there's just not much there. And as I talked about yesterday, this high pressure area, just kind of looking at the euro at face value here at the 5,000 foot level, no, nothing's going to be able to come up into the Gulf of Mexico. Not going to be able to happen this time around. Put a big yellow X there. There's just too much in the way of high pressure to its north, kind of keeping it shoved down there, whatever it becomes. Not too worried about it. So we'll watch and see. A little less enthusiastic the models are today than they were yesterday. Do they flip and become more enthusiastic again tomorrow or later tonight? Who knows? We'll see. It's been a weird year for tropical cyclogenesis, for these models to kind of figure things out. They've all had their struggles, and, well, there you go. It continues. It does appear. All right? So, yeah, a month ago already, I was over here looking at Storm 2K just a little while ago. They're one of our partners, our website partner for Patreon, and they have these archives that are just amazing. You can go back and look many, many years in the past of all these different threads, of all the different members that were looking at things and analyzing different things. You got the model threads, the discussion threads. And this really caught my eye. I was like, oh, yeah, I got to at least acknowledge this and talk about it. And remember, when I'm out in the field, I don't see this like you all do. I'm not sitting at home watching whether I'm in the area and I'm going to be affected by the hurricane. Maybe I live down there, or I'm in Iowa or wherever, the UK. A lot of our viewers and supporters are from the UK or anywhere in the world for that matter. So it's nice to be able to go in and look at it from your perspective. So I was watching over things, kind of going through these different threads here from the very first page of 308 that they had here, Storm 2K did, in the Ian discussion area right there. And this one is from Mark, and my name, but it's not me, it's a different Mark. And the radar scope animation, it really caught my eye. We had already set up a camera Monday night. This is now Tuesday, exactly a month ago. And then we had already set up a camera in Marco Island. Matt and I had, and we were on our way to setting up cameras elsewhere in Southwest Florida. So in particular, let me get white on here, it just shows up better. There's Key West down there. A month ago, right now, this is what it looked like, live. So 3:06 p.m. a month ago. This is my Nest account, and that's what was happening at the Key West site. And we go back to the radar, and you can really understand just the massive wind field and the energy that was getting sent out from Ian. It was getting ready to go through an eye wall replacement cycle here. We all remember what happened. It did so, and it completed that, and then it moved on up in here. Not quite like that path, but you remember. So I just thought I would show this, that look, a month ago we were getting ready, and this is what it was looking like down at Key West. By the way, just to show you, and I mean, I'm sure you saw this, but the remarkable nature to what we do with these remote cams. Let's just scooch forward a few hours into the early evening of last month on Tuesday afternoon, the 27th. Less and less people because there's more surge coming in. The water levels slowly coming up. So finally, just after nightfall, it's full on. You can just forget it. I mean, this is what we captured. It was amazing and damaging and very frightening for people down there. The surge was higher than predicted. And it was at this point, and I remember Matt and I were talking about it, and into the evening, that we thought Ian is overperforming already. And it was shifting just a little bit more east of the forecast track overall. The guidance envelope was shifting east. And this just shows you that every mile would count when it came to this. You know, just a little bit of a shift made a huge difference in that linear area, that north-south area of coastline of Florida, starting with the Florida Keys. Again, our camera down there at the southernmost. And a really big thank you again to our good friend Marcel, who went down and set this camera up on our behalf. We met him in Boca early in the evening on Monday. He went down Monday night, set this up, and it ran all the way through until Wednesday evening. Remarkable, just to look back at that technology at work as the historic Hurricane Ian was approaching that devastating conclusion in Southwest Florida just the next day. And we'll look at that some tomorrow as we look back a month ago to Hurricane Ian. In the meantime, that question remains, will anything develop? Stay tuned. I don't know for sure. I've outlined what I do know, what we're looking at here, and we'll see. It is getting kind of late in the season to expect prolific development. We certainly know that, but we're not done yet. We'll keep an eye on things and see what happens over the coming days. All right? All right. Have a great rest of your Thursday afternoon. As always, thanks for tuning in. Please do me a favor and subscribe to the YouTube channel here. It's not difficult. Doesn't cost you anything. Hit that subscribe button and the like button and the notification button. Just 3 things, right? And then you're all set. And anytime Hurricane Track, that's us. We put something out there, you will know all about it. All right? All right. I'm going to get this online for you. Again, I am Mark Sutton with Hurricane Track. I'll be back with more for you tomorrow.